I find myself saying this all the time. I won't suffer the same fate as Jesus Christ. So it sounds like I'll be eating the lamb chop.
Yeah, exactly. You can't insult the cook on Easter. That's why Jesus was...
Jesus Christ in the Bible insulted the cook.
He insulted Alfredo's lamb chops.
Alfredo's lamb chops, and for that reason, as you aptly put it...
Yeah, you got it.
You got okay.
That's the untold story.
You take the lamb, you James Brown it,
yes,
and then you. All right, so I'm having lamb chops. Now that's well done. I'm presuming with A1 on the side.
Yeah. So there we go. There's you're officially invited for Thanksgiving. Are you officially accepting the invite?
I can't come.
Very Easter-heavy intro there.
Yeah, that's not going to get the respect it deserves, Steve, because that is... Obviously, it's not to the same degree as The Dead Surfer, but that was my version of a slow roll on you where I knew I couldn't come to your Easter dinner with your... Whoa, I guess we're done with that.
Yeah, I was going to warn you. I was going to say, this may end abruptly.
Boy, did
it was,
you know what? Maybe that's my cue. Maybe it's, just like Ray, hey, wrap up the conversation.
And we're done. We are done. I probably should have opened that in advance because that's how it was sent to me. So.
Oh, don't even give me that.
I'm looking at it right now.
I don't mess. Okay. Well, now we have problems because I put in.
There's the file right there.
Did we burn through that bed?
What do you mean, did we burn through it?
Because we've never... Usually it fades out. We don't get to the end. So you're trying to tell me that maybe you didn't have the window open the full way, Steve?
No, the window's open. I'm zoomed out as far as it'll go.
Mm-hmm. I mean, listen, I put in hours every week making sure the timing works, making sure all of this goes off as much without a hitch as humanly possible. And you're going to openly accuse me now of saying I sent you a bad intro that just cut off at the end.
Maybe you have to put in more hours.
Do we need to talk about the review process before we go to air? Is that another thing?
I mean, if you want to pull it up on your computer and tell me what the timing is on yours, and I'll tell you what the timing is on mine.
Yeah, maybe I'll have to do that.
How's it looking over there?
Well, it's opening currently. I'm just gonna bust her right into the music player.
Okay.
We're gonna blast it at 100, and we're gonna see how it sounds.
It's gonna sound great.
Nope, it's a good sign. It's a good sign to start.
How's that thing working over there?
Smooth, fresh. This computer might be the oldest thing in the house. Oh, okay. So
listen to that fidelity.
Sounds great, right?
Yeah. What do you got for a total time on there?
Wish I knew. Window closed. I honestly don't know where it's playing from right now.
Hey, while I'm thinking about it,
2 minutes, 31 seconds, Steve.
Boy, minute 43 over here.
That is the precise one I sent to you. Should I open it from the email?
Yeah.
To also, maybe you were in a rush. Maybe you were downloading it and you said, I don't got time to download this whole 2.4 megabyte file.
Well, let's see. I can go into my email. Go into the garbage, of course.
Sure.
Find that email. Why? Who cares? Who cares?
Listen, I demand blame be placed somewhere properly, and it sounds like it can be placed on both ends.
It's the Steve and Kyle podcast. It's Monday, March 26th, 2018, the year of our Lord. Once again, recording on a Monday. Hey, by the way, while I'm thinking about it, there was something that was discussed at bowling the other night. Is that something that will be...
Not yet.
Okay.
Down the road.
Yeah.
If I get to it.
Yeah. Fun little factoid.
Yeah.
Should have asked you that before.
No big deal. It'll come up at some point.
But this podcast is like one blue ball after another.
Boy, isn't it?
Hey, can we talk about... No.
Okay. It will come up. And there is another thing we need to address. So you brought it up to me as well. I need to make a decision. I had our friend of the podcast, Leslie... send me a message, ask if I was going to be at the Live at Night show next month
Yeah.
Because she said, for some unknown reason, wanted to meet me. And maybe get a photo taken with you and I.
I think what you need to do, you need to set up your own meet and greet.
Oh my God!
Because there's the people for the side gig. We do the Live at Night show. If you're not familiar with it, and for some reason or another, people actually want to pay more money to have a meet and greet where they get to show up and we take pictures and there's a little cocktail hour type thing. Get a couple drinks, some cocktail weenies.
Yeah.
And but I think it would be great because I'll tell you where our meet and greet is going to be. Maybe if just off to the side, you have like a Steve and Kyle podcast backdrop, like the ones you see when after the big game, Tom Brady's sitting there and he's got the background and it has a Patriots logo and then a Nesson logo and a Patriots logo and a Nesson logo. You need to get that.
I'll do that, but I need it to look like from the comic strip Peanuts when who was it the therapist was always in. And they had that roadside stand, and it was like 10 cents off to the side. That's going to be me, Stephen, with that nice, beautiful backdrop, and then like a hand spray painted piece of wood hanging on the front of it. And it's going to say "Meet and Greet Kyle" from the Steve and Kyle podcast. And then because I won't know like the
no, say meet and greet Steve and Kyle, but Steve will be X'd out.
Because I'll just use our logo, which is as we talked about Times New Roman, and I'll just X out Steve's name, and then. When it asks for a price, like people go up there, I'll say like 50% less than what you paid to get in there.
Right.
So I'm going to definitely undercut all of you.
Yeah.
So I got to get headshots taken.
Oh, I love it.
No, not headshot. I want headshots of you and I, like a group photo. But again, I'll just X you out because you're not at the meet and greet.
Either that or you use the headshot of, who was the guy? Was it K-Mac, Kevin MacLeod, that we determined looks just like you?
Oh, yeah. In 20 years or whatever.
Just print his out.
Yeah. You know what we need to do? We never did post it. You and I did... these are the photos we need to be signing at our big events. When we're out in public doing our meet and greets, there's lines out the door.
Did we do glamour shots or something that I'm not remembering?
The photo you and I took in Boston of just our backs, the Goodwill Hunting photo. So we're going to sign photos of ourselves that nobody in their right mind would know they're us because it's just our backs.
Yes. Oh, I love it. That's a great idea. Those photos are actually still on my phone.
We need to say, I will pay whatever money. It's so inexpensive, like Shutterfly, but we'll get professionally whatever
8x10 glossies
8x10 glossies, and we'll sign those, and that'll be part of like we are whenever we talk about sending out garbage merch and prize packs, signed photos of our backs.
I love it.
And then when somebody says what's that, you then have to furiously Google that scene from from Goodwill Hunting.
Well, I think on my phone I actually have a side by side a collage photo.
Yeah, now
so we'll just get it printed out.
It doesn't line up now. In case you're a newer listener,
it's not good. Yeah, we were terrible at it.
Yeah, well, that wasn't on us. That was on the photographer.
Somebody, we handed the phone to somebody, and she was like, "Yeah, looks good."
Yeah,
and we may as well be like playing one-on-one in the photo because that's as much as it looks like the scene from Goodwill Hunting.
In hindsight, we should have had the shot. Showed her, said, "Can you try to get this angle or this depth?" Now, if you're a newer listener, this is a 12-hour whirlwind trip Steve and I took to Boston, Massachusetts last year in July to visit the Cheers bar. Not even like the bar they filmed Cheers at.
No,
the bar the creators had seen and decided, hey, we should do a show about a bar, and that's what it is. So it was used for exterior shots. So we went to Boston, Massachusetts. We arrived there at 9:30 in the morning. Yep. We left there at 9:50 at night, and we went there to visit. And during this portion, we had a few hours to ourselves where we went and toured some big garden, and this is where we took the photo on the famous Goodwill Hunting bench where Robin Williams and Matt Damon had a heart-to-heart talk. So that is what we will be sending out.
Yeah.
Is that image to where you have to then explain all of that. What we just did over the course of about 3 minutes, you have to explain it to everybody who walks by your cubicle and ask,
but you're
what the hell is that?
But at that point, you will be one more person removed from that.
Right.
And then everyone that they talk to has to tell the story I want it to be like 6 degrees of separation,
Right.
where everybody that I meet knows this story.
They have to.
Yeah.
They have to. These images
it's
need
a
to be
tale.
done, and we need to.
An epic tale.
We absolutely need to sign some of those. So another thing we were talking about doing, and I didn't want to get too far before we mentioned Steve. A big show coming up today. Obviously, the first round of the Steve 16 is over.
Yeah.
So we have the matchups for the second round, the Elite Eight, which would be the equivalent of the Elite Eight. We didn't think of a witty name for the second round.
You know, I was trying to think of that. We did a terrible job with the branding on this.
Yeah.
Although I think that the last minute decision to include the division names, we have the gut division, the stomach division, the bowel division, and the throat division. I think that went over well. I think our logo is incredible. The person that sent that, I can't remember. Zach said
Zach, who was actually on our Boston trip with us, was one of the people who made the trek.
And I think that Zach also said that he had a possible logo idea for the podcast bouncing around.
Yes.
It's either him or whoever made the logo.
Belch Badness.
Yeah, whoever made the Belch Badness logo.
And again, there's no disrespect to your logo. Size-wise, when I just put it on this PDF, it had to be squished a little too weirdly that it didn't hold its identity. Belch Badness was just as good. We need to post that as well. Great listener contributions.
Well, I think that, look, let's be honest. These noises that come from my guttural region aren't stopping anytime soon.
No.
So we could possibly use that one next year.
Yeah, we've got year 2. I mean, the clock resets. A new season has begun.
When does the clock reset? Now?
I think now. Yeah, I think because we pared it down from 20 to 16, and so the clock begins. I would argue last week there wasn't any noticeable last week.
Yeah.
Don't worry, it's a long year. I'm sure we'll have more than enough to choose from. So that begins. But one thing we were just talking about before we started recording that I think is going to be something neat to do is. It's kind of a way to increase our exposure, but in order to get some different people on our podcast as well, is we want to start exchanging visits or hits on podcasts, Steve. I think that's a good idea.
So if there's a podcast that you listen to, now look, don't send me... don't tell us, I listen to Adam Carolla every day.
Oh, Comedy Bang Bang.
I don't think that's really going to work. Well, we're looking for podcasts that are more on our level.
Yeah. Or if you are... if you have your own podcast.
You have your own podcast. But if there are podcasts out there that you like that similar to this one, it's a very relaxed atmosphere. Actually, no. I mean, whatever podcast you like, tell us about it. Possibly, maybe we can work something out where we tweet about them, they tweet about us, we listen to them, they listen to us.
Yeah.
Get a little, get some relationships developed here, and possibly maybe one day not be in debt because of this.
Right. Someday this operation is going to be in the black. Now, what's not helping that is the idea that we are still in need of a full second room renovation, the APS 4.0.
Yeah.
So APS 2.0 was a full room in Steve's basement that was remodeled from nothing, from cement. So
it was a tool storage depot.
Yeah. And
there was that rickety wooden shelf. There was that that workbench that was very, very, very lightly secured to the wall.
Yeah. Yeah, we took all that out, renovated the entire room, and now we're in APS 3.0 in a holding pattern until March of 2018. Or April of 2018, it sounds
2019.
like.
Well, March of 2018, by the time people are listening to this...
like this thing's kicking off in April of 2019.
Just about be over.
Any day now. Starting progress on APS 4.0. Hardly any projects going on for either of us, so this is going to be fine.
No, I got nothing going on in my life.
But back to the idea of it. Now, I was spurred by this idea because, as always, we encourage you to leave a review for the show. iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Tune, whatever. Oh, there. Yep, the peanut M&Ms are still here.
Peanut butter.
Sorry.
Careful.
Again, the amazing...
Hold it right up.
The amazing prize pack from listener Nikki Constantine. Full of goodies. Candy.
What was this for, anyway?
This was the shirts, just a gift.
Oh yeah, and I wore my shirt last week.
You did.
When we were recording.
We still have to post pictures of those. But we're terrible at this.
All right, next time, because I'm assuming we're recording next. What's that noise? Oh, I'm assuming we're recording on Monday since Sunday's
seems
Easter. You may remember
I'm
I
free.
invited you. You turned that invitation down.
I'm free.
No, I thought it was a big.
I mean, I'm free for a couple hours. I could make it work, you know.
No, I can't. I'll be busy enjoying my lamb chops.
Knee deep in a leg of lamb.
So next Monday when you come over here to record,
Yeah.
you have to bring that shirt. You have to wear that shirt. I'll wear. Oh, hey, look at that email. I'll wear my shirt as well,
Okay.
and we'll get Annette to take some glamour shots of us posing, acting casual.
Sure.
In our fancy shirts, our Lee Harvey Oswald #1 librarian T-shirts.
Again, amazing prize pack. We always accept gifts. We never turn those down. But was spurred by this by somebody who left us a review, and their name is if you're listening right now, the RPM podcast. I'm assuming you're a podcast. That something like that. Leave us a review. Let us know. We would love to come on your show. We can figure out a date and time because, don't ask us for an hour and a half. But, we'd love to be on for a few minutes, 10, 15.
I got nothing.
Steve's free.
I got nothing to do.
So I'll jump in, 10 to 15 tops. Steve will round out the hour.
Oh, okay. So I just looked up RPM Podcast on Twitter.
Oh, okay. What do they got?
I will read you a description.
First of all, do they follow us?
No.
Okay, so problem.
Hold on. Let me just read it. RPM Podcast es el podcast de atomundo.com/ar conducido por Diego Durruti para recibir las alteras de los extraños. Manda un mensaje al 54-9-11-3078-9644.
So that's like
That's
like loose English. Is that what we call that?
That's the RPM Podcast out of Buenos Aires.
That's wildly incorrect. I'm guessing by my search, it is the RPM podcast.
Well, let's see.
But another problem, they don't follow us either. They're described, Steve, as your #1 source for all things rock, punk, and metal. So I can already see you and I blending in.
Rock.
Check out our website for more info. Be sure to listen to us on SoundCloud. We need the RPM podcast to message us, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, whatever you utilize, social media wise. And let's exchange some hits. Steve and I'll give you our top 5 metal albums of the 90s.
Yeah, I really liked Angry Fist.
Yeah, and then we'll get your thoughts on what bridge you like.
Yeah, are there any bridge podcasts out there?
There's got to be. If there's not a podcast that's breaking down whether it's the construction of bridges, the beauty of bridges,
the artistic majesty of a bridge, that's a podcast I'm listening to.
But here's what
there.
we need to do. We need to figure out a way to get that podcast to think we're serious about our devotion and love for bridges. So they invite us on and they start talking, and then you and I just take it over by force with nonsense shouting from our microphones about suspension bridges versus covered bridges.
Yeah, because we'll do it like you'll be the booked guest to talk because you're the foremost authority on suspension bridges.
Sure.
But then I'll call in as a guest.
Yo.
But I'm not really a guest.
Yeah.
I'm just a covered bridge expert in disguise.
Yeah.
And I'll start throwing stones at you.
Yeah.
And then you fire back at me like,
Hey,
is that old covered bridge Steve on the phone?
I knew he'd follow me here. I can't shake this guy anywhere. Yeah, you just drop in some coy like, I also too like large lumps of cement that traverse water. That is one thing. Yeah, if there's an easy search would help us out. We need to get on that podcast and then have them on ours, and then just shut them out as well.
Because I can't imagine that it would take much for us to be invited on as a guest. Because let's be honest, there are no fans of bridges. So if there is a bridge podcast, they're doing anything to get a guest on the phone to talk.
So, especially somebody actually saying, wait, what? You want to talk bridges?
Yeah, I want to talk bridges.
We're gonna hit them up. Wow!
What do you got?
A quick Google. Twitter at bridge_podcast. Oh, wait, that's a bi-weekly podcast about a fictional bridge. The hell is that? It's like a podcast LARP. What? So they're telling. Hang on.
It's a podcast bi-weekly about a bridge, but not even a real bridge.
Hang on.
A fictional bridge.
Everybody hold the phone a second. This is a bi-weekly podcast about the fictional transcontinental bridge, the people who live there, and the stories they leave behind. And monsters. This is a podcast LARP where they're telling fake sci-fi stories about a non-existent bridge.
I think that in that case, they're probably referring to like a land bridge, continental bridge, right?
Well, technically all bridges are land bridges, right? I mean, this would just be connecting two continents.
Well, like it wouldn't actually be a structure connecting them. I'm saying it's just a really thin strip of land. Yeah.
I don't know. We would have to listen. You want to know what's
I guess we don't know. I mean, it could be anything. It's fictional.
We need to talk to these people because they have nearly 3 times the followers we have.
Okay.
They have their dedicated domain space, which is a step up from us as well. They have many episodes. These people have it together. They absolutely have it together. So the bridge wow. How about, oh my God, and underrelated, the Tunnels podcast. We need to get on all of these.
That's like a bridge, but underground.
We need to get on all of these podcasts, Steve, and just talk. And that's all we need to ask. What do you guys think about suspension bridges?
No,
What do you
pro?
What do you think about covered bridges?
Pro or anti?
Yeah. That is one thing that we need to do. But again, if you are listening and you have your own podcast, you're part of a podcast. I know there's some people out there who have messaged us and tweeted us about our equipment over the years. Maybe they just hit us up for that and then left this podcast immediately. But if that's you, please send us a message one way or another, or leave us a review. Let us know. We would love to be on your show, and then in return, you can be on ours. It'll be shared wealth for everybody, Steve. Exposure for everybody. Some new outlooks. So maybe some people who don't listen to this podcast. I think that'd be fun. Having people on, but having them on literally in the middle of a conversation like we normally have.
Yeah.
And then just bring them in and have them part of the conversation. Because there's no way you're going to be able to track how the hell we just got to talking about a fake transcontinental bridge with monsters with 3 times the Twitter followers that we have. That's a problem.
Yeah, so if you have your favorite bridge podcast, tweet them at us so we can get on their show, because that's something we need to do.
Yeah, we need to do this, and here's how we're going to do it.
Are you bothered by this, by the way?
Not at all. I can't even see it.
It's a Twitter
nice.
live video.
Here's what we need you to do. If you're listening, at bridge_podcast, hashtag get Steve and Kyle on the show. Everybody, please tweet that. Be nice. I'm not asking you to be mean. This is...
There are friends. There are our best podcast friends right there.
They are 3... Again, they have 3 times the Twitter followers as us, and we don't know what they do. They're obviously very creative and entertaining. We need to get on there and talk to them, and then they need to come on our show and talk to us.
Yeah.
Hashtag get Steve and Kyle on the show at bridge_podcast. That's what we need to do this week.
That's a long...
Should we shorten it? How do we shorten it?
No, I like it. I mean,
there's a way we could shorten it, though.
It doesn't leave anything to the imagination.
Should we use the free beer method, where we just tweet them something random, so they don't know what's going on when they have 80 people tweeting them something like that does spaghetti hat, and then tag us at Steve and Kyle? But that might be a little confusing.
Now let's just stick with
hashtag get Steve and Kyle on. Hashtag get Steve and Kyle on.
Hashtag Bridge Fanatics.
Hashtag Bridge Fanatic. Use both of those, please. Help us out. They might have a Facebook. If you only use Facebook, the Bridge Podcast. Again,
I mean, if you only use Facebook, just sign up for Twitter.
Yeah, just get a Twitter.
It takes 2 minutes.
And it's going to become, when we get to the Steve 16, it's going to become very pertinent that you do that, because there were some tight races we need to get to coming up, Steve.
Yeah, surprisingly, all of the Steve 16, the throat noise. Field of 16 that we're doing here on the podcast. Everything was posted to Facebook. It was posted to Twitter. You could vote on Facebook. You could vote on Twitter. So you would think that that it would represent, like, if you would think that if something got 10 votes on Facebook, it would get the equivalent on Twitter, or at least the margin would be about the same. But there were a few that were 100%. opposite. It was crazy.
Right.
It was crazy.
That became runaways one way or the other. Some nail biters that came down to those differentials that if you didn't vote on one of the platforms, it had a difference.
A couple upsets.
Yeah, not many. A lot of chalk. Now, I know you're a sports aficionado, Steve, but for all the people listening who aren't like real, blue bloods and sport heads, now
me.
chalk is where the higher seeds.
I am a blue sport head.
Yep,
through and through. Sports are life. The rest is just details.
Listen, I've always appreciated your passion for the sport. Okay, and by the sport, I mean all of the sports.
I love sport.
Sure you do. Guys got all the mallets
as Mitt Romney once said in the most unrelatable way. I love sport.
Yeah, guys got all of the mallets and balls that he needs to conduct the sports.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go get on my horse right now.
Right. Yep. Play
No
those horse sport games. But when there's a lot of chalk, that means all the higher seeds are winning.
Yeah.
So
of course, I know.
Yeah, again, that wasn't for you, Steve. I didn't mean to offend you. That's for all the idiot listeners who don't rock the sport.
Yeah, dummies. Sports.
What was your favorite matchup over the weekend, Steve?
Oh God! I mean, how do you narrow it down?
Yeah.
How do you narrow down?
There was
all of those matchups.
There's like 4 of them, or 8 of them, so.
44 of them exactly. All those matchups
coming up later. Steve's breakdown of all 44 games this past week.
It took. Yeah.
Now we've talked about again, and that is coming up. So if you're waiting on the results of the Steve 16, the first round is complete. The second round will be going up by the time you're hearing this today. It should be up.
Yeah, it should be up. Possibly tonight, maybe not until a little bit later on tomorrow morning.
But getting back to now, I'm here once a week, Steve. I come in. And you've been doing a full upstairs redo. You painted the walls.
Safe to say, yes.
And now you put in all new flooring. Now you told the story last week about how you had spent 23 hours over your weekend, you and your wife, doing your new bamboo floors, which look wonderful, by the way.
Thank you.
And you still had one project to do, and that was to redo the trim. In the entire upstairs because it was all removed. Now, you had told me your goal was to have it done by, I believe, was it the weekend or before the weekend?
Well, it's by next weekend, by the time we have people over for Easter.
Okay, so the full end game was the Easter dinner, which I so rudely passed on.
Yeah.
Jerk. And so so excuse my confusion then, because I walk in today, I see a lot of trim missing. Now, is there anything amiss that or is it just because when we were at bowling on Thursday, your wife made it very clear there was to be no repeat of what happened the weekend prior, where you guys worked sun up to sun down for full 2 days plus the night prior in order to get this trim done. She said we're going to set a limited number of hours and try to enjoy the weekend. Is there anything afoot? Is everything going according to plan, or has it been steved?
No, it's all been steved.
Oh, no. Now, has it been steved to the point of Bob time? Now, again, we're using a lot of lingo here, but anytime something's going to get steved, that means you're tripling the amount of work it's probably going to take.
Yeah, I mean, the worst possible thing that I can say is this is going to be pretty easy. Because it's never easy,
right? And if we're including Bob time, now Bob is your mechanic friend, was here for the wedding and came out to help you on the Jeep project.
Going to be out here again in a couple weeks.
Oh boy, that's not a good sign.
Him and his girlfriend are
coming out to visit. Yeah. Okay, I didn't know if you had to go round 2 on Jeep end.
No.
But Bob time is referring to his idea that things would
take an hour. Took 6.
Yep.
Yeah, it'll take 2 hours. Took 9.
So. While he knows the amount of work done, he just thinks it takes less time. And while you know the amount of work done, you think you can do it quicker than you actually can. So that's steving it, and that's using Bob time.
Yeah.
What has happened with the trim that I need to be made aware of?
Well, late in the week, last week, I think it was on Thursday, Annette and I had talked. I said to her, because as much as I look forward to the weekend, I was also kind of dreading the weekend.
Yeah.
Just based on the previous one where we spent, like you said, 23 hours doing hardwood floor. So I think it was around Wednesday or Thursday, I said to Annette, I was like, hey, this weekend, can we just only work on stuff like one day?
Yeah.
And she said, like, before I even got it out of my mouth, she said, yes, absolutely. Because we were both dead tired still from the weekend. Just from all the manual labor that we did. So we had decided that Sunday was going to be the day. I forget what we did on Saturday. I don't think we really did a whole lot on Saturday, but we just decided, yeah, we'll work on it on Sunday. So then on Saturday, we actually had a little bit of free time. We're like, let's just throw up the first couple pieces of trim. Like we were just going to do the ones around the doors because they're pretty basic. It's just straight cuts. One piece on one side of the door, one piece on the other.
So that's what I saw when I came in today. That it's okay.
Straight,
nice.
Straight piece across the top. So in about a half hour, we knocked out 3 doors. I mean, it was like,
oh boy,
it was.
So you got a little
cocky.
Juice flowing. Yeah. Maybe I can go get the saw out now. Maybe I can start making a few more cuts.
So we did those, and then I am drawing a complete blank at what we did on Saturday. But whatever, we had something to do.
We got the 3 doors done. Oh, you had plans otherwise, you mean? Okay.
Yeah, I can't remember where we went or what we did or whatever. So we got those done, and then Sunday came along, and we woke up, both wide awake. So we decided, all right, let's get started. This is 9 o'clock. Measured the first piece.
You got the saw ready.
Got the saw out there on the back deck. First thing that we noticed was...
Again, this is a Sunday morning project that Steve has chosen to partake in. That is the day of the Lord. That is the Sabbath. In what can only be described as the belt buckle of the Lord in this whole area.
The belt buckle.
The belt buckle of the Lord. Steve lives on the cul-de-sac of the Lord and has so been reprimanded for his prior projects, including an antenna install, as well as your junk on the side of the house. Again, this all relates back to you not fitting in with your other neighbors.
Well, definitely not. I am... While they're trying to push me out, I'm trying just as hard to push them out.
Yeah, you're trying to make change by just standing on your roof while everybody's getting ready and throwing the kids in the back of the van on their way to the local
I ain't going anywhere.
rock band church. And you've got your sweatshirt on from like Animal House that like says I like to party or whatever. You're wearing your board shorts and your Crocs and just offending everybody's sensibilities.
It's a good look. It's a good look. So, 9 o'clock in the morning, I dragged the saw out onto the back deck, set it up.
He's at it again, honey!
And boy, was it cold on Sunday morning.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like, it wasn't even 30 degrees yet. And I'm like, well, that's all right. We're going to be out there for like 10 seconds at a time. Like, run out, cut a piece, run back in. So, first piece, cut, fit perfectly. I was like, old man still got it. No problem.
So obviously you're straight 45 then on that.
That was it was a straight cut on one end, 45 on the other end.
Oh, okay, I gotcha. I know
one piece it was going into a corner.
Yeah, that makes sense. Sure.
So then I measured up the second one.
Yeah.
I mean, basically did it with my eyes closed because actually
starting to use the saw with your foot.
Yeah, you would think that I did it with my eyes closed with how it worked
out. Hey neighbor,
vroom,
as you send the saw down.
Bring the piece inside, measure it too big. Take it outside, cut it again. Bring it inside, measure it too big. Bring it like 3 or 4 times. Finally, got the second piece in, and I didn't like how it fit. Wasn't fitting right.
Did you consider taking a tape measure?
Yeah.
Okay.
I did.
Did you not take that? You considered it and then withdrew that consideration, or what happened?
No, I mean, I measured it, and then at one point I looked at the piece of wood that I cut, and I noticed that the cut was going on a slight angle. So, like, say this iPad here was a piece of wood, and I just wanted to cut it. Well, it was going diagonal.
Okay.
So it was like wider at one end than it was at the other.
Now, is this your laser?
It was, yeah.
Okay, so my first thought would be that your laser's off, right?
Well, the laser is straight. The laser's going to shoot straight. But the saw has adjustments, so it can go like, it can rotate this way, and then it can also rotate this way.
Side to side, yep.
Side to side, but on 2 different axes.
Yeah.
And for the life of me...
Axes?
Axis.
Okay.
Axis-I.
It's axes. Axi. Text your family member. We need to get to the bottom of this.
Yeah.
The English teacher, who's wrong, by the way, who was about the and I or and me.
Yeah.
We need to get to the bottom. Multiple of axi. Let's go with axi.
I'm going to say axi. For whatever reason, I cannot get this saw to cut a straight line for the life of me. So we, after 2 pieces, we promptly gave up.
Wow.
And went back inside. Now, this wasn't a blow up. This wasn't like a screw this, throwing stuff down, yelling.
So this was a calm acceptance of the facts that maybe this Sunday morning wasn't your morning.
This was the epitome of feeling defeated. Because I was out there, I was measuring, I had like my framing square, I'm putting it in there, I'm like, this framing square says it's straight, and if that says it's straight, it's straight. Don't know what the issue is. There must be some adjustment that I'm just not seeing. So we went back inside, I sat there, and I stared at the wall for like a half hour just thinking in my head, like, what am I doing? What am I missing?
Like with where there was some trim, you weren't just staring at
no
a wall.
No,
you didn't just pick one of your newly painted walls.
I mean, essentially, yes.
Because the way that sounds to me is you're trying to find some blemishes from the local town drunk who painted your walls, and you're just staring at them.
So I could not figure this out for the life of me. So I said, all right, forget it. We have other projects that need to be done. Like all of the outlets needed to be replaced. All the switches needed to be replaced. So I said, I'm just going to do all that. So for the next 4 hours, I sat there and I replaced outlets, which required running down into the basement, shutting off power, coming back up, wiring up an outlet, running downstairs, turning the power back on, coming back up, testing the outlet. All right, cool. Running back downstairs, turning the power off. But luckily the previous owners, if they did one thing right in this house, and this is the only thing they did right, there's a map of the house that has every single outlet and light and switch labeled, so I know what breaker to turn off.
Oh, you're very nice.
Which is great. I mean, it's hand drawn on graph paper, and so I was able to use that for most of it. But yeah, I spent 4 or 5 hours rewiring everything in the living room, the hallway, and then the stairway up to the second floor. And boy, did I electrocute the hell out of myself one time.
Did you get yourself? Not to the point like when you're a kid and you find out if you walk on your knees over to screw on the outlet and it'll shock you, but one where you acted as the conductor for and completed an electrical circuit using your body.
Yeah. So I was replacing.
Maybe that's why the intro didn't play all the way through. Or?
I'm not really sure how those would be related at all. I'll be honest.
Just saying, it's like maybe you got a bigger jolt than you should have.
So in your mind, I'm still getting electrocuted.
Well, I'm just saying maybe it affected
30 hours later.
Maybe it affected some of your brain cells that maybe lost a few in that altercation. You fought the outlet and the outlet one type of thing.
Boy, I turned off the power to this one switch. It's the light switch at the bottom of the steps, and turned the power off, and then walked over to it. I took the little plate off of it, took the screws out of it, and then I was holding on to the switch with my left hand while I was unscrewing 2 of the wires with my right hand, and all of a sudden I realized, this really hurts. I'm just like, yeah. Let go of it. I had to drop it.
Yeah.
And then I took my little tester and held it up to it, beep, 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 which means there's still power going through it. Probably would have been smarter to do that before I started to touch it. But hey, no big deal. Then there's a mystery switch that we have in the living room. We don't know what it operates.
Right.
It's just one switch. No matter, you turn it on, turn it off, doesn't do anything. Turned off the combination of switches around it, thinking, I don't know, maybe it's just maybe it's wired weird or something.
Well, if I know you, here's what happened. You took that outlet off the wall, and you just started ripping that electrics, the whole line, just to see where, if anything would move, against the wall.
No.
Because you had to know.
No. I was smarter than that. I undid the switch that was on it.
Yeah.
Because it's this old, crappy looking switch, which we don't want anymore. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, what am I going to do now? And then we had an idea. We're like, oh, maybe it's for something else. Maybe it's a switch for an outlet. Like you turn on a switch and it powers the outlet. So if you have a lamp plugged in there or whatever. So I went to hook that one back up temporarily so I could test it. Hooked it back up, came downstairs, turned the power on, came upstairs, and I hit the switch. Well, as soon as I hit the switch, boom! This big explosion happens right in front of me. And again, freaking dog goes running. She hid in the laundry room for the rest of the day.
Poor three-legged Lola. You make her go hide in the laundry room. And now this is all because you got frustrated after 4 attempts at a cut on trim. Mm-hmm. Oh, my God.
Well, it had to be done.
Sure.
I mean, what order I do it in doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Has to be done. But I still have no idea what that switch operates. Fast forward about 3 hours. I finish everything else up. We go to turn the TV on. No power. That's weird. It turns out that switch that I took out and just put wire nuts on and stuffed back in the wall and put one of those blank plates over it, even though it operates nothing, it's still a necessary link in the chain. So
you've got chain electric where you have one, like, it's like, and this happens a lot. I mean, most people's homes, you'll see if it's not built by you or you had your hands in it. Like me, I need to have my outside garage lights on in order to use the outlet closest to my garage door.
Okay. So So
you have something like this to where you broke the chain.
I did.
And so now electric from that outlet where your TV is hooked up will not work.
Right. So then I had to stared at it for a half hour.
Good.
Thinking, what did I possibly do? Like, all I did, I took out an outlet, I put in a new outlet. I purposely did one at a time so I couldn't screw it up too badly. And then I finally realized what I did was I took the switch out, and I had just put wire nuts on the wires that were in there so they wouldn't touch anything. Well, I had to reconnect all of them because that was breaking the chain. Yep. Reconnected them, everything worked again.
Just not hooked up to an actual switch anymore.
There's no switch there.
Oh, okay. So you got the whole switch is gone, but the mystery connection must remain.
The mystery connection, yeah.
So now we have trim. You're done with that. You've got the Jeep. Then obviously the APS 4.0, and then you'll no doubt be cutting a hole in your drywall to see where that electrical circuit goes to and why it's necessary to be there.
Curiosity will get the best of me.
The day's going to come
at some point.
Yeah,
I'm going to be on vacation. We're not going to go away. I'm just going to be sitting at home like, wonder where that goes.
Yeah.
See if I can figure that out.
You might be on vacation now. The story goes you were on your honeymoon and you were picking out garage door openers on the...
It's a great garage door opener,
by the way. Where were you?
Oh, on our honeymoon?
Yeah.
We were in Sandals, Jamaica. It's an all-inclusive resort.
Huh. What is... I guess, it's obviously above me. What does that entail?
Well, all-inclusive means that everything's included. You don't have to pay for anything separately. You go to eat
your
dinner.
Food and your drink.
Yeah, you go to eat dinner. There's your dinner. See you later, sir. And you walk away. You don't even have to pay for it.
Well, for that type of bargain, Steve, you were no doubt on the garbage east side of Jamaica, weren't you?
The east side. Sandals, Jamaica is in Ocho Rios. It's on the northern coast of Jamaica.
That's on the northern beaches.
Northern coast. Yeah.
Wow, lucky you. But the story goes that when you were there, you bought garage door openers, and you were fighting with the now defunct snow plow company that wasn't snow plowing your driveway.
Yeah. Boy, you know what reignites that fire is now that all the snow is melted, seeing the absolute hack job that they did to my front lawn.
The one time they came.
Yeah, the one of 2 times that they came.
Yeah.
They had that blade just low enough where you know how like if you're like giving yourself a haircut,
sure,
and you got the little guards, it's like they put on a 1 but they needed a 3.
Yeah.
And they just under the surface of the grass, just just folded it back. I mean, it looks like there's a carpet rolled up on my side lawn.
Well, I'm sure it'll grow great. You just fold it back, roll it back, just like you're sodding a baseball field.
Yeah.
And you'll be back in business in about a month, right?
Yeah.
Maybe throw some glue on the edges.
Is that what they use?
So sure. So it doesn't happen again. You glue that grass sod down.
Yeah.
And boom, you got a lawn.
Yeah, boy,
right?
That really makes me angry now, again, thinking about it.
But I don't think it's safe to rule out that while on vacation, you would all of a sudden have this idea and maybe text, probably her mom watching Lola, hey, you want to do some light electrical work for me while you're sitting there?
Do me a favor, go downstairs and shut off the number 13 circuit.
You know what? FaceTime me in. You just do exactly as I tell you, and we'll fix this right up. Now go to your local hardware store. You're going to need some electrical bolt cover nuts.
Yeah, no, you got it.
Okay. I'm nailing it lately.
Electrical bolt cover nuts.
Yeah. Go grab, I don't know, 6 or 10 of those, because you never know how many you're going to need, and fix her back up.
Yeah. Now, in this whole mess yesterday, I did successfully take a half hour, 45 minutes to redo something I had done the week before. Remember how I told you I was up in the ceiling here and over in the gateway to hell right next to me to rerun that cable for the cable modem? Yeah, I redid all that yesterday.
You can't help yourself.
I can't.
You really can't.
No.
Because now you said you wanted it, the reason you initially did it was to move it 12 inches over.
Well, I wanted it so I wanted the modem inside of the cabinet.
Yep.
There's a fireplace and we have a cabinet on either side of it.
Yeah.
So I wanted the modem tucked in there out of the way.
Sure.
But the closest outlet was a couple feet away, so the wire had to run like out the door.
That's not going to happen.
No,
if I know Steve Home,
not going to fly.
That is not happening.
Not happening at all. So I thought, okay, I'll just I'll put an outlet inside the cabinet. No problem. I'm an electrical guru at this point.
Absolutely, you are.
So I put I went to pop the one outlet that I was going to jump it off of. That one's all filled. There's already outlets running off of every single freaking little screw on that thing. So I had to move it over, do another one.
Sure.
Ended up breaking my backup hard drive in the process. That was no good.
Is any of it worth it?
No.
Because so you Steved that project as well.
Steved it, yeah.
Which is hard to think about considering you already had to take off a panel to this weird gap in your basement to do this, and then you had to redo it anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you summed it up pretty well.
I find myself more baffled, and I'm the worst. I am absolutely the worst. I sat down yesterday. Now, by next week, be prepared. I am going to have a laundry list of things to talk about, Steve.
Oh, because the big reno is coming up, right?
Beginning Thursday, the full bathroom renovation begins. And that includes... Sorry, I don't want to interrupt. So, again, peanut butter M&Ms, a gift from loyal listener and friend Nikki Constantine. We're enjoying these on air. There's somebody who just dreads that noise. I don't know. I forget who it is, but boy, do I feel bad for him when it's like a real. And I refuse to call it a Lee Harvey Oswald because that just paints him in a negative light when it doesn't need to be done. That's a real.
Just had one bad day.
It's a real Saran or whatever his name was that killed the Robert Kennedy.
Oh, Sirhan, I think.
Text your brother. Pronunciation thing. That's got to come out of nowhere and just trigger madness in people's ears. Oh, that's subtle enough to just drive like a mini drill in your eardrum right there. I have to love that. So, yeah, beginning this Thursday, the bathroom renovation. I looked at my wife yesterday or 2 days ago and I said, are you prepared for what will no doubt happen? And that is that our budget will probably end up being increased by about 50 to 75%, and it will not be done like we hope this weekend. And she didn't answer. So
Now, did you, because I know you were still in the process of buying everything, is everything purchased?
everything's purchased except for the, whatever grout you need. And then I don't know if you have to do anything for leveling the floor before you put the tile down.
It's recommended.
I might just skip it. You're
going for that natural...
you want the wave. Yeah, you never know what you're going to step on.
You need a channel for all the water to gather when it no doubt leaks.
Yeah, we're going to put a drain right in the middle and have it wave.
So it's going to be like a locker room shower.
Yeah, what I want is anybody who's drank too much to walk into my bathroom and have that exacerbated by the no doubt uneven floor.
Yeah, plus, and then if they barf on the floor, you just push it down the drain.
You just mop it down. It's going to be like a little plug. You just pop the top and shove the barf right down the center.
Perfect.
Everything's bought outside of, like I said, the grout and the supplies for that, and then paint. But my uncle, the painter, we haven't even looked at paint samples, so that'll all be. And again, the world's smallest room is on pace to cost the world's most amount of money per square foot to be remodeled. This room will need, with 1 gallon of paint, you'll be able to easily get 2 coats out.
Yeah. What is what's the goal for the end of next weekend?
Sunday.
No. I mean, like, what is the goal?
Fully functioning,
paint done.
Uncle out of the house, cleaned. She works Sunday. I want her to come home Sunday, be able to go into the bathroom and take a shower in a new bathtub, and wash in our new sink and look in our new mirror.
And this starts on Thursday?
This starts Thursday. I will be at work
all day.
Yeah, I'll be at work. So Katie will be helping. Don't know how much that's going to help. Because I think it's all like removal and demo, and the old vanity coming out, the old toilet coming out, the tub, which is the first project. I might just start sawing on that Wednesday.
Yeah, good.
I think that's the way to begin on it.
I'll help out.
Yeah. Do you have it? I mean, you've replaced a shower, but not like you're familiar with mine, which is it's one of those like hard plastic.
Yeah, it's like a fiberglass. I think.
So
it's all one piece too. Right?
Yes, yeah, and now because most of the new ones come in 3 pieces, which is the walls, and then they screw into the actual tub portion. But this is one piece, which means it was built like the room was built around it because there's no way it was fitting through the door or anything. So I don't know if I can just take a saw and just start
take a reciprocating saw, just cut it in half.
But I don't want to go too deep because now, and again, I have no idea. Is it wall behind it, or is it like
open studs?
Seriously? Oh boy. And that's where the 50 to 75% balloon is coming. I believe is going to be with the bathtub.
That's the easy part. Cutting that out is the easy part.
Okay, so I don't have to worry about if I just. There might
be electrical back there for like an adjacent room.
Nah, we're fine. Let's turn it off, right? No, you said.
Yeah,
one of the breakers.
Just kill the power to the whole house.
Yeah, fix the breaker, fix the electrical after you're done. When just
wrap a little electrical tape around it.
Yeah, do everything by candlelight and oil lamp, and then try to turn on all the lights. And whatever ones don't work, worry about it later.
Yeah,
easy,
no problem.
So that begins Thursday in earnest. Now I'll be helping Thursday evening, however much happens Friday. All day Saturday and whatever needs to be finished up on Sunday. But my entire goal, Steve, like I told you, be done Sunday, full bathroom, tiled, new vanity top, toilet, medicine cabinet drilled into the wall, new tub, new hardware, etc., etc., etc. And the world's smallest room, everything except for the faucet, may need to replace the faucet, is being replaced.
Timeline is a bit aggressive.
You think so?
I do.
With a set of hands who might be more familiar, you think it's still aggressive?
I'd say so. But I appreciate your stupidity.
So you think I'm working Bob time?
I think you're definitely.
You think I'm on Bob time because now
if you're not careful, you're going to Steve yourself.
I can't Steve myself with more Bob time. My biggest fear is that this bathroom somehow becomes unusable for like the next week. If something goes awry or like, hey, I can't give you a hand until next weekend, and I am left using the basement shower, the basement toilet, which...
well, at least you have that.
Right. Yeah, you did not.
I did not.
You did not?
So it was a very, very smelly weekend at my house.
Right, I don't doubt it. And I am a real sucker for a shower. Like, I hate after work. I need it. I need it right away. And that's going to really irritate me if I can't do that next weekend.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't blame you.
Well, it's probably, I mean, I know you're working on a bit of a timeline here tonight, Steve.
Yeah.
You've got a big Jeep End trip you've got to take tonight.
I got to drive an hour and a half tonight after we're done recording.
That's one way, folks.
That is one way.
That is a one-way trip to pick up a part. Now, so very quickly before we get to the Steve 16 and the results of the first round, before we get to whatever you're going on there to get, have you received your seat belt from the man in Middle America who has claimed now 3 times it has been shipped to you? Is it here?
No.
Are you kidding me? What in the hell?
But I do know that his wife is going through lots of medical issues.
I don't... Listen, I'm sorry, sir.
Yeah.
I don't care.
No. I've lost all hope.
Yeah.
I'll check in with him every 3 days or so just to see what the latest excuse is.
It needs to be said, because there's nobody on the planet busy enough that they cannot get... Again, he's saying he needs to get to the post office... Counterpoint A, no you don't. You can schedule a pickup on the website or however you want.
He already had it in the box. He sent me a picture of it in the box. So if you get to the post office, say you have to go to the post office.
Yeah.
Not counting because I don't know how far he lives from the post office. He may live in one of those areas where he's 9 hours away from a post office, for all I know. But...
Which is, coincidentally, DHL territory.
Yeah. So you pull up to a post office, okay? What would you say if you have a package in hand that is already addressed, has your address, has the address where it's going, like the return address and everything, you walk into the post office, on average, how long would you say you're in there to ship something out?
5-10 minutes.
10 minutes. I think 10 minutes if you don't have it packaged up yet and there's 10 people in front of you.
And that's the thing. Like,
I mean, if it's I don't like the post office. You know,
listen, if I know
there's one thing I am not doing, it's defending the post office.
Right.
But for the most part, you walk in, you're out of there pretty quickly. That's the only thing they do right. Everything else, complete disaster.
Side note, the opinions of Steve do not reflect that of the entire podcast.
Oh, they do.
Whole,
they do.
Warriors of the end of the driveway in blue.
No, 100%. Both of us agree on this.
Now, I have bought and sold thousands of dollars worth of comic books from, and all delivered and sent through the post office. You can, and like I said, you can buy postage on their website. You don't even need a scale. You can guess. They're not going to care. They really don't. You can label it yourself in a package of your own that you own and click pickup, and they will pick it up off your porch. You can put postage on it if you don't want them to pick it up, or if the day doesn't work. They have drop-off boxes. They have after-hours drop-off boxes. I think this guy's giving you the runaround. I don't think there's any question.
Gee, I don't know. It sure seems like he's pretty eager to help me out here.
Have you thought about putting out a note on your 15 to 20 Jeep groups about buying deals from this guy?
Well, the one thing that bugged me, there's about 9 things that bugged me, but he sent me a sob story about how his wife is going through, I don't know. He copy and pasted a message from her, and it's like, well, this could be it, dear. Like,
oh, Jesus.
The blood work came back, and so I read that, and I'm like, all right, well, now, of course, like, I'm a sympathetic person. I feel terrible for this guy. So I sent him a message back. I was like, hey, man, it's cool. Don't worry about it. You know, actually, no. I didn't say don't worry about it.
Yeah, because that don't worry about it means you're never seeing your seatbelt.
No, I said, hey, man, I'm really sorry to hear that. I'm pulling for you or something like that. Yeah. And then like a half hour later, I see him on one of these Jeep groups on Facebook posting all this stuff for sale. Hey, I got this. Somebody posts like, hey, I need a driver's seat for a 2013 Jeep. Yeah. And he replied, oh, I got one right here. You want to, I'll send it to you. I'm like, well, what the?
Oh, this is a problem.
Yeah.
I think you need to take, you have 2 options here on out, because you've already, for lack of a better term, Steve, you've been made this guy's bitch.
Yeah. I have been made to look the fool.
Yeah. You have 2 options. You either let it go, say you're never seeing that seatbelt and you have to buy a seatbelt elsewhere. or 2, you take the Steve I know tone and you take him to task.
Bring the heat.
You go tell him to pick his own switch, and then you ream him over the fire with your words. Because you're from New Jersey, Steve, and you're going to let this idiot from Middle America, some nobody with some wife who, nope, not going to say it.
Nope. No.
Some idiot from Middle America walk all over you with a promised part that you haven't had delivered. The playtime's over, Steve. You either bust out Jersey Steve or get to walking. And let it be known, if you get to walking and you ever want to sell something to Steve, tell him your wife's dying, and you don't have to ever worry about giving him the product. But sir, I sent you $1,000. Well, my wife hurts. You don't have to worry about it. You got a sucker in Steve.
Guess I didn't realize you were so emotionally attached to this seatbelt. I mean, I'm not even this attached to it.
I demand resolution. Now, Steve, you've set a goal for yourself. You want to go big boy vroom vroom up the sand hills by your birthday.
Yeah.
And this idiot in nowhere, Missouri or whatever, is making you look the fool right now.
We're 2 months out.
Two months out from big boy vroom vroom. And this has already taken, 6 weeks?
The worst part about it is, for the last 3 weeks, I've essentially been done.
Yeah.
As far as I knew, I only needed that seatbelt. That was the last piece. Found out over the weekend there's some other issues.
Okay, good.
Which is why I have to drive 90 minutes tonight.
So it's turning into a bit of a Steve project.
To buy an entire front axle for the
Oh,
for the Jeep.
No. So the budget, did you Kyle the budget?
No, the budget
okay.
The budget is still
You're
right
still
on
in
track.
line.
Luckily, I found somebody who wants $50 for an entire front axle.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I thought that it was just a bearing or a seal on the front axle because there was some fluid leaking out. Turns out in the accident, the axle twisted enough where something seized up, and then so tried to replace the bearing on Saturday, and I was an hour away from having this thing completely done.
Outside of the seatbelt, obviously.
Yeah, outside of the seatbelt. But we had it because a friend of mine's like, come on over to the shop. We'll put it up on the lift, which, good Lord, the greatest thing in the world is we had the entire front end. Remember Bob time? I told you it took us like 4 hours to take that axle out.
Yeah.
We had the entire axle out, determined that it couldn't be fixed, and then reinstalled in 1 hour.
So now you have to bring this back to the lift, remove the front axle, weld the new front axle on. Is that how you do it?
No,
you
just
don't weld it?
unbolts.
Okay, so you just hook it in, throw some WD-40 on there and a couple of loose screws, and you're going to be cruising.
Yeah.
Well, back to it. I demand resolution. 1 week from today, we're going to be sitting in this exact same spot, and I'm not going to forget. I'm putting a reminder in my phone, Steve. You have either taken this old man to task, or you have officially let him walk all over you, and you're letting it go.
Oh, he has walked all over me so many times.
Right. So it's time to either fight for your right to that seat belt and party, or come to the conclusion that you are going to adjust your budget again, buy a seat belt from elsewhere. Now, what is a seat belt? If you were to buy one from wherever you can get eBay, one of your Facebook groups, what's the price point on that?
I've seen them for the lowest I've seen it is like $85.
So $85, and again, the deal of the century becomes barely a deal above market value, a little bit more.
Yeah, because at this point, of like the 8 things that I bought from the guy, a few of them I didn't even need, but I wasn't sure if I needed them or not yet.
That's just part of the package.
Yeah, so of the like 8 things that I bought from him, I think I'm only actually using like 2.
Wow.
Yeah.
Boy, you were so excited.
I was.
I think it was at bowling, and you said, I've got the deal of the century. I can't wait, but I'm going to tell you on Sunday. We're going to have to go back and pull the audio of the excitement in your voice about getting this prize pack from this imbecile in the middle of nowhere who took you for the sucker it turns out that you happen to be on this deal of the century. That's sad.
Yeah.
Listen, I'll be asking a week from today. A week from today, if that seatbelt's not in hand, I'm getting that man's name, and I'll take matters in my own hands.
That seatbelt or a seatbelt? Because
either way, I need resolution on that seatbelt.
Okay.
And what you do with any other seatbelt to be is obviously up to you. I don't really care. I mean, you got 2 months to go big boy vroom vroom. You got plenty of time, right? Now, is this a seatbelt that could you go down to the local whatever parts store and get one, or is this one that has to be ordered from like factory Jeep?
No, if I ordered it from the factory, it would be a couple $100. But I'm trying to get it secondhand, like from a
so from another murder car. Yeah, so from another murder car.
Yeah.
You want to up the homicides used to rebuild your 4-door Jeep.
Yeah.
We're currently at, I believe, 4, and that includes a dog.
4 and a dog.
I think it was 4, including the dog.
Yeah, I forgot about the dog.
Now, obviously, we're talking about the horrific blood spatter that was all over your dash.
What? Man, I guess I just don't remember it.
The whole family was killed, and then the car was crashed in the ensuing chase.
Was there a fire? I mean, there had to be a fire too, right?
Hey, you've sat in it. Have you smelled the smoke?
Maybe that's what. Maybe it caught on fire while they were driving,
right?
Which caused them to crash.
Yeah,
they just didn't notice. So they
haven't found
over.
any leftover bones from the fire, where obviously the dead family burned.
No.
All right. The murder tally goes up. To build Steve's Jeep, the murder tally goes up.
I bet it's P. Billy Four's Jeep. I'm going to find some...
Go scrape some arm meat.
Some arm ash.
Some arm meat ash. We never got an answer on that, by the way. I'm very disappointed.
Nothing.
Boy, talk about no pet. You mentioned the blue balling of this podcast.
Yeah.
The fact that I don't have a jar of Paul Walker's shoulder ash sitting in front of me right now is a disappointment.
All right. Now, over the last week, you could go to Steve and Kyle on Facebook or on Twitter at Steve and Kyle, and you could vote on the Steve 16. It's the greatest mouth/gut noises from my innards over the last roughly 100 weeks of this podcast.
Yeah.
My guts are known to make a noise from time to time.
Yeah.
So we decided to pick the best 16 of them, seed them, and then match them up against each other in the Steve 16, also known as Belch Badness. So what do you want to do? Do you want to play the matchups and then I can reveal the winners?
Yeah. I wish you had the iPad hooked up. I was going to say we could hit our sport bed.
Oh, what was that called?
To be
again?
A fighter, you got to fight hard to be a winner or something like that.
Hold on, no, that is something that needs to happen.
I'm pretty positive it was fight hard, be a winner, rah rah rah, but it was in a hip hop cadence.
I need this immediately.
Now again, a lot of these were new because we stopped playing these, Steve. So we'd only played on air the first 8 of your stomach and throat noises. So a lot of these were new to people. Some didn't make the cut. We talked about, listen, the selection committee was busy. We had to pare it down from 20 to 16. So what we had was the 16 best noises. And over the last week, like Steve mentioned, via Steve and Kyle on Twitter and Facebook, we have pared it down to the Elite 8. And a lot of matchups that I think are going to bust a lot of brackets here coming up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
So we have these results now. We've compiled the results from Twitter and Facebook, and it's interesting to note, like you mentioned, the disparity in a lot of these results from Twitter and Facebook.
Yeah.
A different crowd. Oh, that shook me to my core.
Sorry about that. Sorry,
didn't really fade in at all.
I didn't mean that. I wasn't sure if this was a song or not. It's called Fighter's Desire, of course.
Yeah, well, fight for your right to win.
Mid-tempo East Coast hip-hop jam.
Sure.
If you want to be the best, you got to be a fighter.
Yeah, that's what it is, yeah. So that's what we have here. We got all these sounds that want to be the best, and they're fighting. So we will post the updated bracket.
Enough of that.
We will post the updated bracket. The Elite 8 of Steve Throat Sounds coming up. But in the first round, Steve, do you still have those initial matchups open?
I do. The first round we had, this was representing the Bowel Division. Number 2 seed, Uvula State Technical University.
Versus number 3 seed, Trachea School of Fine Arts.
Ooh, okay. So that was... Again, number 2 seed Uvula State Technical University versus number 3 seed Trachea School of Fine Arts.
A nail biter, Steve, goes to show your vote counts no matter what. Okay.
This was a very interesting one because on Twitter,
Oh, wow.
Uvula State University had 75% of the vote, Trachea School of Fine Arts with 25% of the vote. You go over to Facebook, though, Uvula State Technical University with 32% of the vote, and Trachea School of Fine Arts with 68% of the vote. Almost complete opposite.
Crazy.
Yeah.
But again, well, we talked about the chalk earlier. The number 2 seed advances, Steve. 52% of the vote goes to Uvula State.
Yeah.
47% of the vote goes to Trachea School of Fine Arts. Uvula State, the 2 seed advances. Now that's in the Bowel region. Now they advance to play the winner of the 1-4 matchup. That was
Let me see.
that was Hogmaw Academy, the number 4 seed, taking on Acid Reflux Correspondence School.
Spoiler alert.
Our first chance for a 1-4 upset, Steve. Now, how did the matchup sound?
All right.
Number 1 seed, Acid Reflux Correspondence School.
Versus number 4 seed Hogmaw Academy.
Boy, is that a good matchup.
That's
right
a good matchup, but the listeners did not think so, Steve. So the winner of that, again, chalk all the way through. 64% of the vote.
Chalking through.
64.7% of the total vote goes to Acid Reflux Correspondence School. Hogmaw Academy, only 35.3%. And if I remember right, that is the lowest percentage in the first round. Hogmaw Academy run out of the building. So the second round matchup will be Acid Reflux Correspondence School taking on Uvula State. We'll get to those matchups later on.
Okay, going over to the stomach division. This was the number 2 seed Over Salivation Coastal State versus the number 3 seed Snot Bubble State University. And I'm about to say the exact same thing right now.
Number 2 seed, Over Salivation Coastal State.
Versus number 3, Snot Bubble State University.
Ooh.
Now,
So
a
number 2 seed.
Sorry about that.
It turns out the listeners valued the brevity and the clarity, Steve, of Snot Bubble State University as the 3 seed in a upset. Our first upset of the bracket. A 3 over a 2 seed. Snot Bubble State advances. Not just advances, Steve, in a trouncing total of, what the heck is that? 62% to 37%, 62.8 to 37.2. Snot Bubble State U advances. No real difference. Both Twitter and Facebook went pretty clearly to Snot Bubble State U. So that is the 3 seed. They will advance to play the winner of the other 1-4 seed on that side of the bracket.
Also staying in the stomach division, we had the number 1 seed versus the number 4 seed.
Number 1 seed, Dumb Mouth Community College.
Yes.
Versus the number 4 seed, Busted Larynx A&M.
Oh boy! If there was a recipe for an upset, I believe that was it.
Yeah,
right there.
the real length of Busted Larynx A&M gave it a shot. Okay,
This was possibly I think the closest matchup on Twitter. 50-50. It was a complete wash. 50-50 on Twitter. You go to Facebook, and Dumbmouth Community College gets 55% of the vote over Busted Larynx A&M with 45% of the vote. Average those together. Dumbmouth Community College just barely squeaks by 52.4% of the vote to Busted Larynx A&M's 47.6.
I think you've
almost an upset.
I think you've got to look second round. Now, Dumbmouth Community College will be taking on Snot Bubble State. Snot Bubble State, we just said, ran away with their first round matchup, taking on the 1 seed who barely squeaked by. This is exciting to see this next week.
Very exciting. Okay, let's jump on over to the throat division and see how that worked out.
Number 2 seed, Pharynx Polytechnic.
Versus number 3, University of Jowl.
Both 2 strong showings right there.
Very strong.
The 2 and 3 seed, but this was another one on Twitter. 62% of the vote going to Pharynx Polytechnic.
Huge disparity.
Just 38% to University of Jowl. But you jump over to Facebook, I guess they're a little bit more opinionated on that social media site. Pharynx Polytechnic, only 41% of the vote. University of Jowl, 59%. So this one, I was incorrect by saying that our last matchup was the closest one. This one is actually our closest one. Pharynx Polytechnic, the number 2 seed, just barely sneaks by University of Jowl. 51.2% of the vote to 48.8% of the vote. That was a surprise.
Yeah,
I
the
thought-
University of Jowl Owls, their fans not out in full force. They could not bring it on Twitter. And
the Jowl Owls.
the Jowl Owls, they obviously
Wait.
struggle on Twitter.
Who were the fighting teeth?
Oh, God, I think that was Dunmouth Community College, I think.
The fighting teeth.
The Fighting Teeth. The University of Jowl Owls, their fans did not show up on Twitter, and this goes to show you can stuff the ballot box a little bit with this. Now, obviously, you can only vote once on both platforms, but if you have a Facebook and a Twitter, just follow us on both and vote on both platforms to help your team. 51.2 to 48.8.
All right, so
your
let's
vote
see-
makes a difference.
Let's see who Pharynx Polytechnic is going to be taking on in the Elite Eight. This is the number 1 and the number 4 seed from the Throat Division.
Number 1 seed, Esophagus Episcopalian University.
versus the number 4 seed Snot State.
Now, Snot State, of course, not to be confused with Snot Bubble State University.
Correct.
In Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Snot State, of course, as we all know,
Yeah.
in Illinois.
Yeah, I mean, listen, they have the border rivalry already.
Yeah.
What's not going to happen, though, Steve, is that national championship matchup between those border rivals as Esophagus Episcopalian pulls off the win with a total percentage of 53.5 to Snot State's 46.5. Pretty evenly on both Twitter and Facebook. They won by about 9 to 10 points on both.
Yeah. So that so our matchup for the Throat Division is going to be Pharynx Polytechnic, like you said, versus Esophagus Episcopalian. That's going to be, boy, that
It is exciting to watch this bracket fill out. We've got a couple of 1 seeds who are barely squeaking by, Steve. You wonder, is these are your blue bloods, your nationally renowned programs, your big throat noises. Can they hang on? Or do we just have people voting for an upset for the sake of an upset? I can't wait for this Elite Eight.
Here's the Gut Division. This is our number 2 and number 3 seed.
Number 2 seed, Vocal Cord Valley.
Versus number 3 Mucus University.
Okay, a couple of very quick hitters right there. That was the number 2 seed Vocal Cord Valley and number 3 seed Mucus University. Oh boy, this is another one.
Oh,
look at the disparity between Twitter and Facebook. Twitter.
Oh wow.
Vocal Cord Valley getting 52.2% of the vote to Mucus U's 47.8. Go over to Facebook though. Vocal Cord Valley gets 70.8% of the vote. No, I'm sorry. Mucus University gets 70.8% of the vote to Vocal Cord Valley's 29.2%. Average them all out. Mucus University with the upset, the 3 over the number 2 seed.
In a trouncing, by the way, Steve, not just an upset. And again, it just goes to show how this can, the disparity on social media platforms is going to go to affect this race for the National Throat Goblin Championship.
Let's just say that Facebook in this case was the Iowa of the Iowa caucus of this election right here. I mean, they determined without a doubt that Mucus University was going to be going on to the Elite Eight.
Yeah, now whoever they're going to face, when you have a first round like that, you obviously have the support of your fans behind you. Whoever they're going to face in the next round, you've got to be nervous.
And here we go, moving on. The Gut Division, this is the number 1 seed versus the number 4 seed. Let's see how this played out.
Number 1 seed, Gullet Institute.
Versus number 4 Tonsil Tech.
Ooh, Tonsil Tech coming in strong. Could it be our first 4 over a 1 seed?
Boy, it has the quality, the audible quality that has all the markings of an upset, Steve.
But it is not to be
It
this
is
year.
not to be, and not only not to be, like they do in English soccer. We may have to relegate Tonsil Tech to the division below because they were run out of the gymnasium.
They definitely were. I think that I watched that game. And that final score, definitely does not tell the story of that game.
In a 63 to 37, just a car wreck of a game by Tonsil Tech. Did not come out like you've expected to see them this season. Ended up letting down not only their fans, but their families.
Yeah.
I think that's important to remember as well, Steve, as you and I. because they disappointed the
they
bracket.
Definitely let us down.
So Gullet Institute advances. A couple of 1-seed runaways, important to note there, and a couple of 1-seeds squeaking by. You wonder how that's going to affect the second-round matchups.
So now moving on to the second round, the Elite Eight. In the gut division, you have Gullet Institute, the number 1 seed, versus the number 3 seed Mucus U.
Yep.
Down to the throat division, you have Esophagus Episcopalian University taking on Pharynx Polytechnic. That's the 1 and the 2 seed right there. Moving up to the stomach division, we have Dumb Mouth Community College.
The Fighting Teeth.
Community College, the Fighting Teeth, the number 1 seed, versus the number 3 seed Snot Bubble State University. And down to the bowel division, Acid Reflux Correspondence School. No surprise there. Everybody saw that coming a mile away.
Yeah.
The number 1 seed versus the number 2 seed Uvula State Technical University.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this right now, you can, and it's within 5-6 days of this podcast being released, go to facebook.com/Steve and Kyle or at Steve and Kyle on Twitter. You can vote, and try and get your favorite team into the Final Four. Also, if you have filled out a bracket, we've had a bunch of people who filled out a bracket, posted them on Facebook or on Twitter. We had I forget who it was. It might have been Zach.
I think it was. He
actually printed his out and he had it hanging
in his office.
Hanging up in his office right behind his chair. Thank you very much for that, Zach.
Yeah, please do let us know. Let us know who your champ is, the National Throat Goblin Champion. Now, I'm calling it right now, Steve. I didn't fill out a bracket. I have to be an impartial broadcaster here.
Yeah,
we're in the studio. We're calling the games. We have to be impartial. But I'd be really... I would watch out for Snot Bubble State U right now. They ran through their first round matchup as a 3 seed. They seem to have the backing of a lot of the listening audience right now against Dumb Mouth Community College, who's kind of showing their greenness to the National Throat Goblin Tournament here, the Steve 16.
Agreed.
I think Snot Bubble State U making a run to the Final Four.
Okay. Well, that's your huge prediction.
The Fat Mouth 4.
Go down to the bowel division. Acid Reflux Correspondence School, like I said,
they did their job.
No surprise that they just walked all over Hogmaw Academy. I think the Uvula State Technical University is going to give them a little bit of trouble in the second round.
It's a solid matchup. Now that's the other. I believe that was the other 1 seed that squeaked by, Steve. But you're seeing some Uvula State. Listen, they're doing their job, too. They haven't played each other before. It's going to be another very interesting matchup coming in. Gullet Institute and Mucus U. Mucus U with the upset. Gullet Institute, though, absolutely running through Tonsil Tech like they didn't even matter. I think Gullet Institute's a shoe-in for the Final Four, for the Fat Mouth 4.
Okay.
And that last matchup, though, too close to call right now. Esophagus Episcopalian versus Pharynx Polytechnic.
Put a gun to my head. I can't make a decision.
And I won't.
No.
I refuse to do it.
Won't do it.
Refuse.
Won't do it. Pharynx Polytechnic. They're winning. There.
Please. Whoa.
I know. I said I wasn't going to do it.
There it is. The prediction's been made. You have the largest Fat Mouth 4 prediction you could fit, Steve. Can't think of another word for it.
Fat Mouth 4. So did we have? Okay, so it was the Steve 16. We never came up with one for 8, right?
Empty colon 8.
Oh, I know. Instead of like the number 8, it could be ATE, like a play on like what.
The Elite 8,
like the what I ate.
Yeah, the Elite 8, ATE for Steve. As we progress through the Elite 8, on our way to the Fat Mouth 4.
I like what I ate.
What I ate. Okay. On our way to the Fat Mouth 4. The tournament rolls on, Steve. Again, please check the social media for these matchups. Fill out your brackets. Let us know who you have winning the National Throat Goblin Championship. And be tuned to, there's YouTube videos and links. Please vote.
Yeah, definitely. I think we're gonna call it, right?
Hey, you said you've got places to be, man.
I gotta drive 90 minutes.
You've got a 90-minute ride.
It's 6 o'clock. I still have 3 hours of driving to do tonight.
Oh,
not looking forward to that.
That sounds awful.
You know something? Screw that. Let's do the Fast 5.
You want to do the Fast 5?
Are you good to do it?
I have nowhere to be outside of my wife and home.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right. I believe that I'm first this
time.
Okay, first, I know that this is you have a personal connection to this. Daniel Bryan.
Oh, I'm so excited. Listen, get your ticket. WWE Network right now. WrestleMania season, Steve. Obviously in full swing. You've been keeping up.
Fast 5?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, very exciting.
March for Our Lives.
What an insane crowd.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. It was
let's say 800,000 on Washington.
Yeah, amazing to see.
This one, I'm sure that you're going to have a lot to talk about. That would be Zlatan Ibrahimovic.
Yeah, everybody's talking about that soccer player. Right? Isn't he,
he is.
Is he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You nailed it.
Yeah, man, he's all over the cycle of news, sports stuff.
Next, Loyola Chicago.
Great story. I mean, this is the reason people tune into the tournament.
And finally, Mark Zuckerberg having a rough week.
Yeah, boy, probably best to maybe cancel the rumored Senate. He's rumored to be running for some
something.
office
Yeah.
in 2020. Probably best to not. Maybe just enjoy your crazy stocks and sit in retirement with your wife and family because... Yeah, so I'm assuming you're referring to a lot of the privacy
data
issue.
breach that wasn't a data breach.
Yeah, Cambridge Analytica received personal information to 50 million people. Targeted those people on Facebook in the 2016 election
Cambridge
cycle.
Analytica, a research firm that has ties to the president.
Yeah, Donald Trump. Yeah. So, bad look by Zuckerberg. He released an apology, but...
Well, at first
released,
after like 3 days of him being radio silent, he released a statement, but nowhere in there did it say were the words sorry or apologize in there. It wasn't until he had an interview, I think, with CNN, where he actually did apologize.
Feels like legal speak, like what they tell you, like if you get into a car accident, don't say sorry if you hit somebody else, something like that, to the point where he was advised not to say so. But a bad look. The delete Facebook movement now, which I mean, Facebook's already, which is insane to think about. It's already regarded as like social media of the past when it's 15 years old.
I guess that when I think about this whole thing, I'm not really surprised. And then again, I'm not really that mad either because I don't pay anything for Facebook.
Right.
Facebook is free.
Yeah.
So you want to bombard me with ads based on things that I search for or the information that you have on me. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, that's kind of the price you pay, right?
Yeah.
Like if you can't be, I don't know. I've never been influenced by a political ad that I've seen on Facebook.
Right.
I'm obviously not in the majority on that.
Mm-hmm. I've never gotten the political stuff, but I've been a sucker for targeted ads where I've bought stuff from those related to bands I like or whatever, and I go, oh, that looks awesome, and I need to buy it. So it works. I'm not that furious about it, but I can see why people could be in this day and age with the NSA issue and private information being sold. I think that's a lot of the larger concern is that information is then on the dark web or whatever and being sold off. So,
all right. Before that, we have Loyola Chicago. What were they? A 12 seed?
11 seed. The Cinderella, the slipper fit Steve, the Ramblers of Loyola Chicago. They were one of my upset specials. Now, sure, I didn't pick them in my bracket, but I was talking about Loyola from the Sunday they were selected until they played Thursday. Nowhere did I think they would make the Final Four.
So now it's them?
Michigan, Villanova, and Kansas.
Okay. So safe to say that they will not advance.
No, not at all. They could beat Michigan.
Really?
There's no question.
That's exciting.
They can beat anybody in this tournament at this point. I mean, honestly, there's 3 left. So all the incentive in the world to watch next Saturday night, the Final Four. This team is a run for the ages. It's like George Mason, I want to say it was 7 years ago. Virginia Commonwealth University did it before that. But yeah, the new darlings of the basketball fanhood are the Loyola Chicago Ramblers. It's great to see. Sister Jean.
Hanging around for another week.
Oh, well, maybe. She's old.
Well, the team is. And the team's hanging around.
The Ramblers will be there, and maybe a new sister, like Sister Edith. Fly her in. She's only 95. Doesn't have quite the charm.
Okay, before that we had Zlatan Ibrahimovic.
Yeah, man, he plays the foot.
He's a soccer player. He plays the foot.
Plays the football.
Yeah, he big. Oh boy, really making waves. He announced he's signing with the LA Galaxy, much to the fanfare of no one.
Oh, so he's probably 40. Nobody in Europe will pay him.
From what I've seen, he's coming off a pretty significant knee injury.
Okay.
But he's a very pompous guy. He took out an entire page ad in one of the Los Angeles newspapers, and it said like "Dear Los Angeles," and it was blank, 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 and then it just said like "You're welcome, Zlatan Ibrahimovic." Which, if you're the average person in Los Angeles, you open that up and you're like, "What the hell's this?"
Yeah.
What is the LA Galaxy?
Yeah,
I don't even know.
Where are those things?
Yeah. So
Wow. Okay. Well, another overaged European star comes to America in the light of, what was it, David Beckham was the main one, and these guys are obvious. If they're at their prime, they're going to be in Europe because that's where they're making the tens and hundreds of millions of dollars. So if you're coming here, that means you're on your backslide of your career.
Well, maybe he is just tired of being bombarded by fans wherever he goes, so he wants to go to a place where no one cares.
Just a warm city where nobody gives one S about who he is or where he is.
So he'll be playing for them next season.
When does
this season?
When's that start, Steve?
Yeah, the old 2018 campaign kicking off.
Yeah. Any day now, I think.
Right now. Okay,
the
before
old soccer season.
We had March for Our Lives before that. That was the movement over the weekend where in a bunch of major cities around the U.S., young people marched basically to protest being killed unfairly.
Right. So a March for Our Lives in the vein of limiting assault weapon sales and guns in school and the Second Amendment to a lesser degree. But it reminds me of the women's marches, which were about a year ago.
Yeah.
And seeing the millions of people around the country and in major cities and small cities too, which is always cool to see, taking to the streets to protest what's going on. My only issue with these is now everybody rests on their laurels and is happy like, hey, look how many people we got out there, right?
Yeah.
That doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, there's still, 7 months until November.
Yeah, the women's honestly, while it's cool to see, I as a cynic, I look at it and say, what happened from those women's marches? Nothing.
Yeah.
It made it to me. It looked like a lot of celebrities just wanted to get photos of them holding signs with regular people.
Paul McCartney. McCartney marched in
New York, right? But now nothing. Oh boy, I stepped all over it.
It's all right. We got it.
I'll try to grab it.
I think it was
early entry.
I think it was just early enough where you're going to grab that.
Early entry in the Steve 16 of 2019.
2019 edition.
But yeah, it's the cynicism in me. To me, it's cool to see for a day, but now nothing will come of it.
Well, I hope something comes of it.
Yeah.
I hope that like 10 years from now, we see some of those same kids running for political office.
You will. Absolutely.
Making a change.
Right.
I hope that something comes of it. And first on my list, Daniel Bryan. Isn't he?
Okay,
let's talk. He's like a billy goat,
so
right?
So let's talk WrestleMania season. WrestleMania 34, obviously.
You know something? Why don't I talk about it? Because I'm actually the one that has close personal ties to Mr. Bryan. What do you? No, it's not time for that.
What's up?
No. Inappropriate. Not while we're talking about my friend, not your friend.
Okay.
Daniel Bryan. I met the man. Long interview with him at a Meijer grocery store here in the lovely city of Grand Rapids. Talked to him. He actually told me that my beard was better than his beard. Had to agree with him.
Well, he is just a nice guy. So
he is a nice guy. Very little fella, but he's a wrestler. So this guy suffered a billion concussions.
Yeah, so he had some head trauma.
Retired in 2014, 2015. Oh, okay,
2016 September. He retired in his hometown of Seattle and had been making. There had been rumblings over the last year that he was, once his contract is up, because they put him back on TV in a non-wrestling role, that once his contract was up this year, he was leaving and was going to go wrestle wherever he could wrestle, because organizations will still sign him because he's a huge money maker. So the rumor was he had been trying, though, the last year and a half to do whatever type of medicine, homeopath, whatever
he was doing,
hyperbaric chamber treatment, which Joe Namath claims helped him dramatically with his post-football career.
From what I've said, Namath claimed that it has helped him, but there's still no scientific link between.
Correct.
Like, there's no proof that it actually has.
Which I will take them at their word, because obviously they're the ones experiencing it. And two,
well, if you feel better, you feel better.
Right. And 4 or 5 years ago, Steve, nobody knew what CTE was. What is that I forget that doctor's name. The Will Smith movie Concussion. CTE is so new in terms of diagnosis and research about it that it's a disease you can't even figure out until after the person has passed away.
It's Bennett Amalu
discovered this, so it's so early in the stages that to be able to say there's no link, which I understand, but this disease is so unknown that there very well may be a positive link between what these guys are doing. And I saw tweets and stuff from people suffering, I want to say, from muscular dystrophy and cerebral palsy, saying that it helped them feel a ton better as well. So, yeah, it was cleared by WWE doctors, which he had been cleared by a number of doctors around the country and world. But the one guy, I believe his name was Dr. Joseph Maroon, out of Pittsburgh, would not clear him for a return to the wrestling ring. Finally, he said, if you can get clearance from these 2 doctors at the University of Michigan and these 2 elsewhere, come back to me. We'll take another look. He did that, was cleared a week ago. His return to the ring is announced. He will be wrestling at WrestleMania. Of course, his first night back, he takes devastating moves that I'm watching on TV behind, like when you're a kid watching a horror movie, watching between your fingers, because any second now, he's just going to, head's going to pop off because he hasn't done this in years, and it's obviously gravy up there. But no, the unexpected, crazy, great news. Everybody loves this man. For all intents and purposes, he seems like one of the nicest guys on the planet.
When I was talking to him,
so I mean, WrestleMania 34.
When I talked to my good friend,
week and a half,
my good buddy Daniel Bryan. No. The bag's empty now. There's nothing.
It's empty. Oh no, there's still some in there, Steve. It's the never-ending bag of peanut butter M&Ms.
So when is WrestleMania? Week and a half.
Yes, week and a half. So less than 2 weeks.
I know I say this for every pay-per-view, but
you're on your way.
I might watch that.
Hey,
what time?
Here's the problem, though. Daniel Bryan will be going on nearly last. I would be surprised if he is in the ring before 10 p.m. Eastern.
Okay, well, pop in a VHS tape, and I'll come over Monday and watch it.
They have the streaming network where you can just click play. And,
that doesn't work with my VCR.
VCR recording is what's being demanded. Okay. That's fair.
If you could make that happen, I'd appreciate
so excited.
Best 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Best news ever for wrestling fans. That was crazy.
Believe that that segment was over, and
Best 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I mean, the road to WrestleMania has been so
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
It's important to see human storylines.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
March for our lives.
Good for them.
Boy, that felt condescending. You want to try that again?
It felt condescending?
Like good for them.
No, I seriously mean good for them.
Okay.
Good for them. I'm proud of those kids.
Yeah. The Texas bomber.
Coward.
What a news story. We'll come back to it, obviously.
News story.
A second week in a row, Stormy Daniels.
Oh, is there an update on her?
No, the 60 Minutes interview aired last night.
Oh, it did?
Yes. Under threat of lawsuit by our president, it aired last night on CBS.
Oh, I won't go back and watch it.
I didn't hear I heard there was nothing extra revealing about it outside of one pretty big factoid that may come back to be an issue. Dana Jacobson. This is a bit of a dark horse.
Dana Jacobson.
I sent you a link.
So that's the one.
Yeah. We'll play it when we come back. But Dana Jacobson, sideline reporter for CBS and the NCAA tournament.
I know somewhat of what happened. I know that there was something about a reaction that she got to a question that she asked a coach.
Yeah, it was so awkward.
Okay.
And lastly, Steve, the real sweetheart of the NCAA tournament, Sister Jean.
God bless Sister Jean.
If she makes it to next Saturday,
she's 98 years old.
She'll have been alive for both of Loyola Chicago's Final Four appearances, 1963 and now 2018. International sweetheart of the decade, right?
Yeah.
I mean, people love this lady. Players are giving her hugs right after the game. She's on the court. She got her own shirt. Next will be a tell-all memoir about the goings-on of the university or something like that.
Maybe a plastic surgeon will step forward and offer to remove that goiter from below her lip for free.
She's 98.
Well, it doesn't delete the fact that she has that thing on her face.
You know she can't undergo anesthesia. She'll never come back.
Couldn't they just,
Oh, shit. Awful image. Poor Sister Jean catches one on the chin. The Stugatz is strong in you, Steve. Taking a run at Sister Jean. Before that, I mentioned...
What if I told you?
What if I... Dana Jacobson, sideline reporter. You have the video pulled up and ready. So this is after Michigan and Florida State played in the Elite Eight, Steve. Now, the coach of Florida State, I want to say it's Leonard Hamilton, was interviewed... in not the locker room, but it's like the hallway between there. So this is minutes
in front
after
of the backdrop.
Minutes after a loss. Now it's important to note in this loss to Michigan, they were down 3 with 11 seconds left. They missed a shot. They did not foul.
Okay,
they just stopped. So they essentially gave up. Now, you'll see teams fouling when they're down 15 with a minute and a half to play because crazier things have happened. That's what you can always rely on. But in this case, down 1 possession, Leonard Hamilton, the coach of Florida State, directed his players, or maybe now, to not foul Michigan and let the game end. So this is how it went with Dana Jacobson.
Okay.
Final seconds of this game. Why didn't you guys foul?
What are you talking about?
Down the stretch there, the end of the game, the final seconds, 11 seconds left on the clock.
Do you think that the game came down to the final seconds of the game?
I'm asking you, though, why that decision in the final seconds of the game?
The game was over.
You didn't think your guys could get back in it, put them on the line if they miss those shots?
I mean, but 15 seconds, what were we down?
Put them on the line, they miss a few shots.
Oh.
Coach, a 4-point ball game. It's a question that the guys were asking at the end of our game. That's all I'm asking. It didn't come down to that in your mind.
I thought they did a great job.
Oh,
the walk away. Now again, if you haven't seen this video, Leonard Hamilton.
So they were only down by 4 points.
Correct. And Michigan is
15, and there were 15 seconds left. On the clock?
10 to 15 seconds left. Now Michigan is one of in the bottom 30% of free throw shooting teams in NCAA. They had missed 2 less than a minute before, so they had proven that they will miss free throws. They missed 2 free throws. You come back down, you hit a quick 2 or 3. You're down 2 points or 1 point.
Boy, imagine how you feel if you're on that team. What was it, Florida State?
Yeah.
If you're a Florida State player and you hear your coach saying the game was over.
Yeah, so that's the debate going on now. Is he just stepping in to accept that for his players? Because there's a chance. I mean, these are 19-year-old kids suffering a defeat in the final 8 of the NCAA tournament. Maybe the shot went off, dejected. They just didn't want to foul. They thought, whatever, screw it. And now he's stepping in to take that heat. But more than likely, I think it is the way it appears, and that he told them if they make them or if we miss the shot, don't foul. But that reaction there with that sideline report of the
awkward,
the eye roll and the walk
Good
away.
God.
He does like a lap like 3 feet away and comes back. All the credit in the world because that job gets more ridicule than any job in the country. That sideline reporter gig. Dana Jacobson standing in there and asking him like repeating herself.
And the crazy thing is, if you watch these interviews, the 2 people in the interview are uncomfortably close together. Like they are standing. When are you ever? When are you
She's
ever
touching his shoulder.
Yeah, you are never this close to someone. Like, yeah, their shoulders are touching, and she's kind of, but I mean, she is turned right into him.
Yeah,
there's maybe 1 foot in between their faces.
All the credit in the world to Dana Jacobson. Now Leonard Hamilton came out the next day, did issue an apology, said it was minutes after a loss, and I didn't act the way I wanted to. So I guess credit to him. It's a tough spot to be in for both of them. Her to have to ask that question, for him, who has to go console his teenage kids that just lost the biggest game of their life. So,
well, if he apologized, then hey, whatever.
Right? It's not like he grabbed her by the shoulders and got in her face. It's not a big deal.
This is one of those things that. It happened. He apologized. I'm sure that she was gracious and said,
sure.
No big deal. It should be done.
Yeah.
But this will be one of those situations where, like, this guy gets death threats or, like, his players want to transfer now because they hate him. Or
there'll be
somebody will dig up dirt on him and say, like, look, he touched a kid back in the 80s.
There will be some countdown clock to the next time she covers Florida State, like there was with Aaron Andrews and Richard Sherman 3 or 4 years ago. So before that, Stormy Daniels, the 60 Minutes interview that had been in the pipeline for 3 weeks, finally aired last night on 60 Minutes CBS.
Now, she did that under threat of being sued by the president.
Correct, which she has a court date in July for that. She was crowdfunding legal funding at last check. Pretty run-of-the-mill everything that had already been revealed about everything that happened. outside of in 2011, she claimed she was approached by a man while leaving a grocery store with her 1-year-old daughter. And he said, leave the story alone, looked at her daughter, said, that's a beautiful girl you have there. It'd be a shame if something happened to her mom, and then walked away. So how much of that is true comes to fruition. I don't know if you can prove that. I don't know how it plays. But the idea that the only thing that matters about this story, because same with the Bill Clinton thing, it did not matter that he was receiving sexual favors from an intern as long as it was consensual. Right. Same thing here. By all intents, Stormy Daniels claims this was a consensual sexual affair. The issue becomes now whether he gave a payoff from campaign funds, and whether he had a threat delivered to Stormy Daniels to keep quiet and not sell her story to a tabloid or whatever. So, if this is what it is that brings him down, insanity. Of all the things, him having consensual sex with a porn star while married, if that brings him down, oh boy, I don't know if America will ever be looked at again in the same light by anybody.
No,
unbelievable. Before that, the Texas bomber, Steve, not overly newsworthy.
Was
Why?
that 4 bombs, 5 bombs?
4 or 5. The last one went off in a FedEx processing facility. The last update was that they had honed in on a suspect. They followed him. He knew he was being followed, so he blew himself up in a car, right? Mm-hmm. Why wasn't this all over the news constantly? Isn't that odd?
Yeah.
Because
because honestly, he was a young white guy.
Yeah.
And the one picture that was circulated of him was him sitting in a chair smiling.
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
now,
he didn't have dark skin.
Yeah.
He wasn't wearing a turban. I mean, that
wasn't wearing a political statement shirt or hat.
Yeah. Nobody could really. You couldn't look at him and say he's a radical whatever.
Yeah,
and that's why it didn't get any coverage.
What? Now I know it was a different set of circumstances because it was much longer, but the Unabomber was the top story across the country.
Right.
And I believe he killed, I want to say 3 people.
Yeah. I mean, also completely different time.
Right, but it's weird to see the disparity about how a person sending package bombs and killing 3 or 4 people isn't front page news in the New York Times, the Washington Post, the major newspapers and services. It kind of went under the radar. Mm-hmm. I mean, outside of the people and family whose lives are changed forever from loss of life. Mm-hmm. This thing was swept under the rug.
Business as usual here in the USA.
Awful. And lastly, March for Our Lives.
March for Our Lives. I will say this again.
Yeah.
Good for them.
Yeah, I like that one better.
Yeah, I kind of had the upper
The first time I was like, yeah, good for them.
I know that there was a march here locally downtown. I think saw, from what I saw, a couple thousand people were there.
Nice. Very good.
Yeah. I mean, look, whether you agree or disagree with what their stance is, be happy that people are out there demonstrating. And you can say that about, I won't say all protests, but I would say for the most part, they're, if you see a protest, you should be happy that that's happening. It at least shows, especially in this case, because millennials and the generation younger than that, I don't know what their generation is called.
Right.
But they get so much crap for not caring about anything and being lazy and, just being glued to their cell phones all the time. Well, they're organizing now. Yeah. And those are the kids that 20, 30 years from now might be running for president.
Yeah.
Or are going to be in political office, or they're going to be, like the mayor of the town that you live in. So
very telling to see the man in charge hightail it to his own resort in Florida. Less than days after he signed a spending bill, which made it possible for him to hightail it to Florida, which he said under no circumstance would he sign.
Well, he signed it, but he wasn't happy about it.
But the rumor is that the reason he signed it is because he was told by aides, if no spending bill's approved, the same thing that happened last time, which was his big weekender in Mar-a-Lago would be canceled.
Yeah, to celebrate like the 1-year anniversary of his inauguration.
Yeah. He hightailed it, man, and he hasn't tweeted about it, hasn't said anything about it, instead focusing on just the fake news full of lies.
Yeah. Shocking.
Yeah. dang it. Not again, man.
All right, so if you are downloading or if you're listening to this episode and it's within 4 or 5 days of it being released, Facebook.com/Stephen Kyle or at Stephen Kyle on Twitter. You can vote in the, what are we down to? What is it called? The What I Ate?
The What I Ate.
The What I Ate. The final 8 surviving guttural noises from my bowels over the course of the last year and a half or so. You get to Twitter and Facebook. You can vote on them. And also send us pictures of the of your brackets, like hanging up in your office.
Yeah,
or hanging
absolutely.
Up
How
your
you
house.
filled them out. If you left them somewhere in the house or at the office like we suggested, please do. Let us know where they are. Let us know who your National Throat Goblin champion is.
Yeah, definitely. And as always, you can download, subscribe, and review the show in iTunes, the Apple Podcast app, Google Play, TuneIn, Stitcher, YouTube, Libsyn, StephenKyle.libsyn, LIBSYN.com, or really any other podcast app you can subscribe to us in. On Twitter at Stephen Kyle, Facebook.com/Stephen Kyle. And in the meantime, remember, get your votes in for the Steve 16. We're down to the What I Ate, on our way to the
Fat Mouth 4.
Fat Mouth 4 coming up next week. See you later.
Exciting.